welcome to Magical Travel Adventure. I am Lauren, your host, and today I have sort of a different video that I haven't ever done before. I recently did a trip with my son and my mom, and I recorded almost each day what we did, if not by the following day. And I talked about our trip, some of the hiccups that we had along the way, some of the good things. It covers the Halloween party with a 4-year-old and how that was. And it covered some stuff. We had some issues with the Skyliner. And I actually, at the end, I totally forgot that I had some medical issues while we were there too. Now, in looking back at some of these videos, I will say that I don't want to say I was sick, but I had an allergic reaction on this trip. And so it did cause me to, when I had first recorded things, really think about that everything was going really badly. But really what was happening was I had some medical issue going on. And I was a little surprised, even though I knew that it was super busy at the parks the week that we were going to be there in October. I did not expect it to be as busy as it was. And it felt like Christmas. I've been, before 2020, I was going to Disney often also. And I've been through Christmas and everything like that. But this time it felt especially busy. And I also said I thought part of it might have been because of understaffing. Maybe they weren't staffed well enough, so things felt even busier than they might have even been. But it's really good information for you to know if you are going on a Disney trip. This will help you. It is just me talking. I'm not doing pictures and videos along with that. I just don't have time, especially because I have a really special surprise and I can't talk about it yet, but I have something really cool that's coming up and I have to focus a lot of my energy on that, which I was not expecting. And I found out the day that I was leaving for my trip that this other thing was happening. So anyways, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to talk about that. And the best part is one of my friends, Ashley, is going to be coming on the show soon to talk about her Wish trip. She just recently went on the Wish and she got a few bonus days because of the hurricane. So hopefully you will stay tuned for that in future weeks. And so here we go. These are my days and I do a little recap at the end and I hope you enjoy. All right, yesterday was our Magic Kingdom day. So this was supposed to be like a super easy, light day for us. And it kind of, like I said yesterday was a little bit of a rough day when we got here. We got to Pop Century and we didn't have a tub, so we had to go back to the front desk and we had to go back a few times to do it. So, and my son and I kept saying, tomorrow will be better, tomorrow will be better. And it was definitely better, but there were still a lot of hiccups. And I think these are hiccups that can happen to anyone when you're at Disney World. So the first thing is I was all set for Genie Plus. I had all my alarms set, ready to go, so I could get Peter Pan first thing in the morning. Well, for some reason, they moved Peter Pan to the top of the list, and I didn't see it when I first scrolled in, and so it took me almost 30 seconds to find it in the list. It was all the way at the top, and I did not put it there. There is a way for you to use Disney Genie, which is the free service to rank things that you want, so it comes up at the top, and Disney Genie automatically put Peter Pan at the top. So I lost some time and we didn't get a return time till 12, which meant that I could not use Disney Genie again until 11 o'clock. I do like the new feature that it does have at the top that says now you can pick your selection, things like that. It's very clear now that if you look at the app before 7 a.m. that, it says you can't make your first selection until 7 a.m. for Genie Plus. And it also talks about once you have your selection, it highlights it so you can see it. At the top, it also says for Genie Plus when your next selection is. So that's a great option for you too. So I just set my alarm for whatever time that is, so I'm ready for my next one. So then we go to Magic Kingdom and we drove, so which is what we typically do. And then we took the monorail over. And then we ended up, what did we do? We were going to rope drop the carousel, and we actually never got to ride it because it was not open when the park first opened. And we were literally walking into early entry right at 8:30 when it started. And then what happened was when we got into early entry, we tried to go to the carousel. It was closed at that time. So we ended up going to Winnie the Pooh, which my son loves. So we did Winnie the Pooh, then we went over to Little Mermaid, then we did Dumbo. And I will say my son loves Dumbo. If your child loves to play with knobs, buttons, and things like that, they love Dumbo because you can, make Dumbo go higher or lower, and my son loves doing that. So had a lot of fun with that. Then we went over to Pirates, and when we first started walking, it said a 20-minute wait. By the time we got over there, it was a 40-minute wait, and I would say it was probably like a 25-minute wait at most when we were there. Did Pirates, and then we saw part of the stage show, did that, and then we went over to have lunch. We had lunch very early. Then we walked over to Cosmic Rays, and Sunny Eclipse was not there because during the Halloween parties, they have special dance stuff there, so Sunny Eclipse was not there. Then we were gonna try and do the People Mover, but it was like a 40-minute wait, and my son was not having it. So we did the Carousel of Progress, which my son loved. He really liked shows, so he liked that a lot. And then we had a Genie Plus for Buzz Lightyear, and the Genie Plus line was so long. It was outside. They had one of the people with the sticks that was like, hey, we're this far away from where you need to be just to get in line for Genie Plus. So we waited about 15 minutes in that line with the Genie Plus. So I felt really bad for the people in the standby line. And then we were gonna go watch the parade right in front of the castle. And we weren't gonna get there early to get a spot. That's not my way of doing things. That's just not the way we do things. So we ended up just standing behind a group of people. My son saw it for a few minutes and he was over it. So we had finally our Genie Plus for Peter Pan. We went over and did that. And then we ended up leaving the parks for the day. And we came back and tried to rest for a little bit. And then we went back to Hollywood Studios that night because my son loves Toy Story Mania and Alien Swirling Saucers. So we did those two things. Unfortunately, when I was trying to get those Genie Plus selections, I could not get them together. It was almost like yesterday, Genie Plus was not letting you get back-to-back ones. Every time I tried to do it, I could not do it. So we had an hour wait in between them. So we did Toy Story Mania, then we walked over to Muppets, did Muppets, came back and waited a little bit, and then did Alien Swirling Saucers, and then came back and relaxed. So now we're going on to Hollywood Studios again today just for a little bit in the morning. Then we're coming back to have a pool rest day. And then tonight we are going to the Halloween party, and I'm so excited. My son is so excited for it. I'm super excited for the Halloween party. I think it's gonna be awesome for him, and I think we're gonna have an amazing time. And it's just so great. We aren't planning to do a lot when we're there. We're not going to see any characters. We're not getting any character lines. We are going to try and see the fireworks and the parade. Those are the two things that we're definitely gonna go see, and Monsters, Inc. dancing. Other than that, we don't have any set things. We'll trick or treat maybe. We'll see if my son wants to wear his costume. He's Spider-Man. We'll see. So yeah, that's today or the next day. I don't know what at this point what it is. So yeah, so I'll tell you all about it after it happens. All right, good morning. How are you? I guess it's good morning for me. I have no idea what it is for you, but let me talk about yesterday from our trip. So yes, I don't know if you can hear it. Also, the tiny cooler refrigerator here at Pop Century is so loud, every 30 minutes. So if you hear that in the background, that's what that is. But let's talk about yesterday. So yesterday was our Hollywood Studios morning, and then we were doing the Halloween party at night. So my plan was that we would go into the parks and just do a few rides and then come back to the hotel and kind of relax until the party. So what we ended up doing is going to Hollywood Studios. We were doing 3 rides, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Toy Story Mania, and Alien Swirling Saucers. So those were the only 3 I was going for, and I figured Mickey and Minnie's we would do early entry, and we would do, I got Toy Story Mania as a Genie Plus, and then if I needed one for Alien Swirling Saucers, we were gonna do that. So what ended up happening is I actually got Toy Story Mania for our turn time the first hour that we can come into the parks that day. So it was between 8:30 and 9:30. And then I was able to, we went off to the Skyliner. So we got to the Skyliner, and when we got there, they were telling us that we could get to Caribbean Beach, but then at Caribbean Beach, we needed to switch over to a bus because the Skyliner was down, which has happened to me a bunch of times. And I always say just get on the Skyliner and then take the bus, because you don't know when the Skyliner is gonna come back up. Now for us, we like just missed the Skyliner opening back up. We were the last bus on that left, and then the rest of the people, the Skyliner opened up again to get to Hollywood Studios from Caribbean Beach. Fine, it's happened to me so many times, I'm used to it. My son loves buses, so no big deal. Got on the bus. I was in the dad section. There were 4 other dads there. They all had their big strollers, so I sat there with our stroller. And yeah, we just had, they kind of joined me in their dad conversations. And yes, they were dad conversations. So we got to Hollywood Studios and we went straight to Mickey and Minnie's, which I thought was going to be a longer wait because we kind of missed a few minutes of early entry because of how long the bus took. And of course, once we got there, the Skyliner was open again and people were getting off. But so we got in for early entry and Mickey and Minnie's was like a walk-on still for us. So that's good news because I don't go for Rise of the Resistance, Millennium Falcon, or Slinky Dog during early entry unless I have a Genie Plus. I do not do those 3 rides. So it helps, I guess, the rest of us who want to do Mickey and Minnie's. So that was a walk-on. Then we went back to Alien Swirling Saucers and we didn't need a Genie Plus because it was a 5-minute wait. So we walked on to that. And then we did our Toy Story Mania Genie Plus, and then we ended up leaving the parks. We left by going into the shops a little bit, and then we were able to take the Skyliner back, so that helped. And then we tried out the pool at Pop Century, and this is the first time I normally do the pool every time I come, but it's been kind of cool going to the pool with my son because he's really into it, but the pool was absolutely freezing. Like, it was so cold. Like, I've never been in a pool this cold. And I'm from New England, so it was cold. So we lasted about 15 minutes. My son's lips were blue and he was shivering the whole time. It took us a long time to like warm him up. And then we came back to the room and I let him watch some TV. And then we went over to the Riviera to eat at Bar Riva because that is by far my best. Like, I love eating at that place. It's so much fun. And then we took the Skyliner back. And we took good naps and then got ready for the Halloween party. Now, I will say I am not a huge Halloween person, so I didn't really care about wearing a costume. I wore this shirt. It's off Etsy. If you want it, I can send you the store, so just let me know below. And I'll try and put it in the comments when I do this video, but I don't always remember. So just remind me if I don't. And my son did not want to wear his costume, which was fine. We brought it if he didn't want to wear it. And we got to the party around, I'd say like 4:45, and walked into the party. And what's different is you don't walk down Main Street when you go into the party. You kind of like walk over to the right. And they only open this part for certain times of the year. When it's like really crowded, stuff like that. So, but they direct you, like you're directed, you get a wristband, you're directed to go over there. That's what you do. You get a little bag that says welcome. It's like a trick-or-treat bag, and then they have a trick-or-treat station right after that. So that's kind of cool. And then my son just kind of wanted to like walk around. He just didn't know what it was gonna be like at the party. And so we kind of just walked around, and then I let him see the map, and he really wanted to do the Haunted Mansion. So we went off and did the Haunted Mansion his first time. We ended up skipping the stretching room. I just think that is too thematically scary for my son. I just know him that well. So we skipped that. And you can do that. It's a little bit of, you know, go through this door and then this door and this door, but you eventually get there. So got on the Haunted Mansion. He absolutely loved it. He had a glow stick. He has blinking shoes. He had those blinking for some extra light. We got stopped at one point, but he was okay. We were very lucky there. If we had just been a little further, I think he would have been really scared because there was something that just kept popping up. And we were there for a whole like minute and a half, 2 minutes. So did the Haunted Mansion, and then we went to go to Cosmic Rays to get some food, and then it was officially 7 o'clock when the party started, and we went over to the Monsters Inc. dance party, and I was so excited for this. I thought my son was gonna absolutely love this, and he was so scared. So scared. He was scared of Sully, he was scared of Mike Wazowski, and they like really come into the crowd and they're dancing with you. Like, I wish I could have gotten some better video and pictures of it, but every time they came close to me, I was like shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, this doesn't happen at Disney World, like at Disneyland maybe, but not at Disney World. So I had a lot of fun at the dance party. Then we did some trick-or-treat stations, and we did a bunch of PhotoPass pictures. And not all of the PhotoPass pictures have come through yet, but hopefully they will come through so I could show you some of them. And then we tried to go to ride we did a few rides like Little Mermaid, things like that. We kept trying to do the People Mover, but it kept breaking down, and so it wasn't worth it to us. And then we were going to go ride Haunted Mansion, and it said 40 minutes, but the line was like not moving at all. So I don't know what was going on there, but we just didn't want to wait because I didn't want to miss the parade. So we ended up going down to Main Street, and we went on the opposite side of the shops. And I just say this because that's the side that the Headless Horseman comes down. And so we sat there for about 30 minutes. Then the Headless Horseman came. Then there was like a little dance party that came. And then in about 10 more minutes, the parade came down to Main Street. So it says that the parade starts at 9:15. It really doesn't get till Main Street till about 9:45 in case you ever go. So that's just good information to have. So we watched it, my son and I absolutely loved that parade. It was so good, very entertaining. My son loved it. He wasn't scared. The grave digger scared him a little bit, but not too much. And then we kind of stayed just on Main Street to watch the fireworks because it was about 10 o'clock when the parade ended. So we just stayed there and then watched the fireworks, which were really good. And then we left. We were gonna stay a little longer to ride the Haunted Mansion, but my son, you know, he's 4. We don't wanna keep him up too late. So that was our fun day. So we had such an amazing day. And then today we are getting ready to go to Epcot. We're not really rushing. I made a Remy's Genie Plus, but we'll see, because Remy's is right when we come in. If it's not easy for us to do it right when we come in, we're gonna skip it. And I'll just cancel it and do Soarin' and things like that, because that's the stuff my son really likes. So I want to make sure that we get in what he likes. So, all right, I'll talk to you tomorrow about the next day. All right, this is our 3rd day. The night before, we had just done the Halloween party, so you're really gonna rest, and this was our Epcot day. So in the morning, I tried at 7 a.m. to get Remy's, and I really wanted Remy's because I really wanted my son to try it, and it got a little like hiccuped for Remy's, but I did get it. I got it for 10, I think. So it was perfect. I was super excited that we were gonna be able to ride it. We left around 9 to go, and then we got to Remy's, and it was perfect. So we got to Remy's and we rode it and we loved it. My mom loved it. She's never seen the movie, so that was pretty cool. And then we went over to Soarin', and my son loves Soarin'. So we did that. We did the Nemo ride, and then my son was getting pretty tired. So we actually went back, and on our way out, we got the Pluto Pumpkin Challenge. And this is a cool thing to do at Epcot. You can go around and look for the special pumpkins that Pluto has put around, and it's kind of fun. There's stickers on the back, and it's $10. You can buy it, and then if you find them all, you can turn it in for a little prize for the kids, and it's just a fun way to experience Epcot. And I knew we were coming back later that night, so we went back. took a nap, a good nap, and then we actually went over to the Boardwalk Deli for dinner, and that was really cool, seeing the boardwalk. I love going on the boardwalk, and so we were able to do that. Then we went back to Epcot, and again, we did the Nemo ride, we did Spaceship Earth, and my son and I looked for some of the pumpkin stuff. And that was a lot of fun, and then we decided to go home. This was sort of a shorter day because of the Halloween party the night before, and I knew that the next day for Animal Kingdom we had to get up super early. So that was our day there, so stay tuned for day 4 tomorrow. But our 4th day, we went to Animal Kingdom, and we had an 8:05 reservation at Tusker House. And at the time when I booked this, the Animal Kingdom was not supposed to open at 8:30, and early entry wasn't supposed to start till 8:30. So I was super excited because I was like, oh, we'll get into the parks early, it'll be awesome. But that's not what ended up happening, of course. They opened up early, and early entry was actually at 7:30, and the park opened at 8. So it's fine that we did not get to, enjoy the extra time before everyone else gets in the park. We were able to walk over, and it was kind of hard to know how bad the crowds were going to be because we were driving. We did pay for preferred parking, which put us in the second line from the front of where cars park. And if we were going to go somewhere else and drive that day, we could have kept that preferred parking, because that preferred parking pass, if you pay for it that day, it works for the full day no matter what park you drive to. So we went in and we walked back to Tusker House. I was able to check in online, and we had to wait a little bit, but right at 8:05 when our reservation was, we got called in. Now, this is my first time at Tusker House in a long time. It was super good. It was still family style, but you could see that they're getting the buffet ready. That buffet is starting up again at Tusker House. So just so you're aware of that, we're not doing family style anymore at most of the restaurants. I don't think any of them are really staying family style except Garden Grill, which always has been. It was good. It was a very slow start for the characters. We sat down at 8:05. We were done with our food, and it was 8:40, and we had seen one character. We had Mickey, Goofy, Donald, and Daisy. So no Pluto, which we were expecting, but no Pluto. So it was fine. It just took a long time. I don't think we left until 9:30, and that was after the last character saw us. And the line backed up. It was about at least 30. When we left at 9:30, they were at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes behind in seating people. So Tusker House is one of those places that if you don't get the first reservation, you are going to be waiting a long time for your reservation because it's only going to back up. So I still recommend it. The food is amazing. If you can get that first reservation of the day, it does make a difference. The characters were late our day, so that really set that off. But if the characters are on time and you have that first reservation, you should be in and out in less than an hour, no problem. Food, fantastic. Juice, fantastic. Can't wait to start making that at home. After that, we missed our Genie Plus for the safari, but they let us on. No problem. Got on the safari. It was a little light at that point. It was like at 10 o'clock. There were not as many animals as we normally see in the morning, but that's okay. We've been on it a bunch of times. From there, then our big thing was shows. So we got a Genie Plus for Lion King, which I do suggest because not everyone made it into the show in the standby line, and we were for the 11 o'clock show. And then it was amazing. I loved it. It was fantastic. The whole crew is back. The flying monkeys are back, so that's awesome. And then we went over, I got a Genie Plus for the Nemo ride. Along the way, we got to see Kevin, and he was like wandering in the parks, and I love that because there's not normally characters wandering around in the park like that. So I'm super excited. My son loved it. He loved seeing Kevin, so that was super exciting. And then we went over to the Nemo show. We got in early. You did not need a Genie Plus for the Nemo ride like you did at Lion King, but we got it anyways because we were up in front. And what I will say for the Nemo ride is if you're sitting in the front half, there is like an extra part of the stage that comes all the way out into the audience, and the characters do come out there. So if that's important to you, just know that. It was super cool to see it was just, the shows were just so amazing. So after that, we decided we were gonna leave. So we drove back to the hotel, we relaxed. And then that evening we were going back to Epcot. And again, we were doing the Nemo ride. We did Turtle Talk with Crush, which my son loves. And then we also got to see the ball, Spaceship Earth Ball. It's all different colors on different nights. It was super cool to see. And then my son and I were doing the Pluto Pumpkin Challenge, and that is in the front half of the park. So a lot of times during the festivals, they have the stuff that you can do where you can search for things in all the countries. But this is a special thing just for October, and it's the Pluto Pumpkin Challenge, and you're looking for pumpkins. They show you everything about that, and this was our day, and we did it, and we found them all, and my son got so into it. So it was super cool. Then we went all the way back by the Skyliner, and we watched the fireworks there, and then took the Skyliner back. So that was our day, and this is pretty awesome. And we have one more day left, and so I'll see you guys tomorrow. So today was our last day, and we got up. It was our Magic Kingdom day. We ended up taking a minivan in the morning. It was super expensive. It was like $55 with tip because it was just too challenging for me to get my mom from the car into the park for Magic Kingdom. If she couldn't get on the bus, she couldn't do the steps on the bus, and she didn't want to do an ECV. So anyways, so we did the minivan, got us right to the front of the park. We had an awesome driver named Tim. I loved him. If you have him as a minivan driver, he is amazing. Loved him. And we went in, and again, I had some issues trying to get Peter Pan. I was able to get it for 10:40 a.m., but it was still a struggle. It still would not let me get it right away at 7 a.m. So having a lot of tech issues with this time. So when we got in, it was early entry. We kind of walked through the shops because it was 8 a.m. Then we got lined up, and we wanted to do Winnie the Pooh, which is right across from, if you didn't hear that, that was my son yelling, right across from Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So it's kind of crazy when you go over there, but we were able to go. We got to Winnie the Pooh. It took a few minutes to open, and so as soon as we parked the stroller and walked over, they were like, yep, we're open, and we were the first people on. Something that I love about the Winnie the Pooh ride is there's like things for kids to do along the way. They can play little games. There's a little drum, and there's just some cute things to keep them entertained while they're in line. Then after that, we did the carousel, and then my son really wanted to do Haunted Mansion. So got in line because if you don't know, that side of Magic Kingdom does not open for early entry. So we got in line to go over there, but unfortunately it was also down. So we were in this huge line at the beginning of the day. And as we did it, eventually it opened about 5 minutes later. We walked through this gigantic line, and it took about 10 minutes. That's it, to walk through the whole line. And again, we skipped the stretching room. If you want to do that, you just ask the person as you go in to the big room, and they'll tell you to wait across the hall. And then you go through a series of doors, and then you come out by the dune buggies. That seems to work really well for my son. Just being in the room even before you get into the stretching room is hard for my son. So that was great. We did that, and then we had a little snack at Pinocchio Village House, and then we did our Peter Pan at 10:40. And then we went back to do Little Mermaid, and then we left. Again, we left in a minivan. We had another driver, and I can't remember her name. It's in my notes somewhere, but I don't have it now. We came back. We kind of rested. I started packing. I had to do some work stuff. Super fun, right? And then we got up, and we were going to we were going to Hollywood Studios. My son loves Toy Story Mania and Alien Swirling Saucers, so that's what we were going back for. I was able to get pretty much back-to-back Genie Plus selections. I was able to stack them. So as soon as we left Magic Kingdom, I just kept checking the time. I got Toy Story Mania first, then I waited 2 hours and got my second one, which was like 45 minutes later, but they overlapped a little bit. So we took the Skyliner over to Hollywood Studios. I will say the Skyliner has been on and off for Hollywood Studios when we've been here. So just know that sometimes parts of the line close. So you just have to be aware of that. So we did our stuff at Hollywood Studios, then my son wanted to go back to Epcot to do the Nemo ride. So my mom came back to Pop Century and we went there to go ride Nemo and see, as he calls it, the big ball with colors, Spaceship Earth, because at night there are special colors, there are shows that they kind of put on with music. So we went to go back to see that, and then we came back and now we're packing, and it's sad because we're leaving, but I kind of have a surprise on something that I am doing later this month. So if you stay tuned, you'll hear some more about that. So that will wrap up our trip. All right, so I have some final thoughts about our trip, some things I didn't talk about, and some stuff that I just want to make sure that I include. A big thing I had also with this trip was I had issues for Genie Plus. Genie Plus did not work how I wanted it to during this trip. One of the first things is that the Peter Pan thing switched on me. Maybe it didn't switch on me. Maybe what I should say is it went to the top of the list for when my Genie Plus selection was listed. I don't remember putting it there. Maybe I did, but it kept being listed there the whole trip, and I kept trying to remove it and it wasn't letting me remove it. So it's important that when you start and you want that first selection for Genie Plus, go into the app first, see where the location is for that ride, and then make sure when your 7 o'clock time opens that you push it right away. Now, both 3 times, the first time I tried to get Genie Plus, it kept giving me an error, and it was almost 45 seconds before I could actually pick a selection, which made my selection almost 4 hours later. Another time, it just kept giving me an error, and it was only about 15 seconds, but again, I missed out in the first 2 hours that I could have booked a Genie Plus. For Peter Pan, that was for both times for Peter Pan. Again, for the Safari, I had a difficult time getting for the Safari. I had an issue getting Genie Plus to load. Also, once it said that my time was ready to make my next Genie Plus selection, I often had to refresh, close out the app, refresh, and then it would work. So there were also a lot of times where I would pick a time and it still would give me like a time that was like an hour later, which is supposed to be a glitch that's been fixed. I did not have a glitch that was fixed. It kept giving me different times every time I picked for a Genie Plus. I never got the time that I chose. It was always at least 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes later, all the way up to a full 2 hours later than when I chose on the first screen. So make sure that you're looking at that also. That's super important. So during this trip, when we first came down, I had sort of a medical issue, and it wasn't like a big deal at first. We had gotten some poison ivy from working outside before we came down to Disney, and I didn't really think anything of it. It was just like I had 2 little spots, no big deal. But they kept growing, and then they traveled over to my son because he was holding my hand. And eventually during the trip, I was like, I need medical assistance because it was just covering my whole hands. My hands were swelling. I'm not super allergic, but I am allergic to it, and I just could not get it to stop spreading. So in the My Disney Experience app, there is an option where you can do a telehealth call. It costs $59 at this time for a call, and they were pretty immediate. Like, it took a long time. There's a lot of, download this app, sign up, create an account, put in your information. What's your insurance information? So it was a lot of that. And then we ended up needing a prescription, and I needed to look up and know where the prescription was going to be sent. And I know that there is a place in Orlando Celebration that delivers to your resort. So that is where I had my prescription sent so that they could deliver it the next day to our resort. I did our meeting, I think around 8:30 at night. And the next day I called to the pharmacy around 10 a.m. and they had it, and they said it was going to be by around 3 o'clock. It came around 3:30, and the front desk called me into our room and they said, "We have something here. Please bring your ID with you to pick up the prescription." Got in line, did it, got my prescription, and we were better in like a day or two. But definitely an option. You don't know when these things are going to come up, and that's just why it's all the way in your My Disney Experience app under the 3 lines at the bottom. If you scroll to the bottom, it will say something about medical assistance, and you can go in there, and there's a whole app that you download, and so you'll be all set for that. The last thing I want to talk about is everyone always asks, is Genie Plus worth it? We had Genie Plus for every single day of our trip, and I do that for the ease of my toddler and my mom. We don't do the big rides, like we're not doing the mountains like Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, Space Mountain. I didn't do Pandora for the first time ever during this trip. I don't do Rise of the Resistance, and I do Rise of the Resistance. It's just that when there was no Genie Plus, I got to do Rise of the Resistance a lot, so I don't choose to ride it as much anymore. And I don't do Guardians of the Galaxy at all, so I don't have to worry about that one. But, so the main rides that we're doing are things like rides that don't have height limits, like Peter Pan. I will say the 2 big ones in Hollywood Studios are Toy Story Mania and Alien Swirling Saucers, which during this trip we did need Genie Plus. Alien Swirling Saucers often was over an hour wait, which is not as common as other times of the year, but it seems like the fall is a big time that people want to go, especially for the Halloween party. So is Genie Plus worth it? It's worth it for me because I have a toddler and it's super hard. Like, we kind of need to be on some sort of schedule, and a lot of the times he never would have been able to wait for those rides. So I think it is worth it for us. Again, it's just him and me that I'm paying for. So that's very different than if you are paying for a family of 5, that might make a difference. I would say if you can get to the park super early in the morning and prioritize the first 3 things that you want to do, and then just know after that you're going to wait in line, that's what I would do. Or if you're going to stay super late at night, come in a little later, know you're going to wait and save those rides for later in the evening and try and hit those after like 6 o'clock and try and see how many you can get done also during the day. If you're, I don't want to get into too much detail about that, but that's just what it is. So the prices have now increased as of me recording this. So Genie Plus now could be anywhere between $15 and $22 a day at Disney World. So that might change your perspective. And I'm telling you that they're raising the prices because so many people are still buying it, that they're trying to make it that people don't want to buy it. So that the line can work a little better for Genie Plus. Individual lightning lanes are also going up. They could be even up to $22 per person per ride. So if you're thinking about that, a family of 4, you could be paying $88 to ride 1 ride. So make sure you think about that if that's something super important to you. Obviously, during the holidays, it's busier, so that's when you should expect that the prices are going to go up. Basically, when kids are out of school on common times, common holidays, that is when you can expect those prices to go up, but they're going to be dynamic. They're going to shift every day, as so far how we have been told. So just know that ahead of time and just decide if there's specific parks that you want to buy Genie Plus for or specific days you want to get Genie Plus for. Maybe start off without it and see, since you have to buy it each morning, you know, you can kind of decide, do we need it this day? Do we not need it this day? What's going to make our lives easier? Those types of things. I will also say that Savvy's workshop for the lightsabers, that price has gone up, and building a droid has gone up in price, and refillable mugs at the resorts have also gone up. So those are the big price increases, and I can tell you from being there, I've been a bunch of times since 2020 and now, and by far, this time in October of 2022 has been the busiest it's ever been. It felt like Christmas in the parks. It was very crowded. The staff seemed to be overwhelmed. Maybe they were understaffed for this time. And there just seemed to be a lot of problems. We actually had a few problems with the Skyliner being down and broken going to Hollywood Studios. So I know I talked about that previously, but that can happen also. So even if you're staying at a Skyliner resort, the Skyliner could go down and you still might be taking buses. So just be aware of that too. This was a lot of information. The happy thing that I'm going to leave you with is the Halloween party. We did the Halloween party. I had my 4-year-old son. He had the most amazing time. He said it was by far his favorite thing. The parade and the fireworks were by far his favorite thing. He loved the parade. We had a front row seat on Main Street. He got to see the Headless Horseman. He got to see the dance party, and he loved every single part of that parade. He also loved the fireworks because we could stand back on Main Street and we were still able to see all the fireworks and the projections. The only thing we missed was seeing Jack from A Nightmare Before Christmas. He's up on the stage and we couldn't really see him, but my son was okay with that. He has no interest in that movie, so that was okay. But I 100% think that was worth it for us. We did not do any characters, so we didn't wait in line like that. So that was super helpful too. I think we got more accomplished because of that. So that was kind of nice. So anyways, that was my October trip, and I actually have a very special surprise coming up for you in a few weeks about another special trip that I am taking, and I cannot wait to share it with you. It's going to be amazing. I am still shocked and surprised that I get to do this, but this is an amazing thing, and I can't wait to help and share information with you. Again, as always, you can reach out to me if you are interested in going to Disney World. There are lots of details when planning a Disney World trip. If you'd like to use me, my information is below, and I will talk to you next time on the Magical Travel Adventure.